How do Alabama fans, and I've talked to my buddies, and they've given me pretty much similar answers. How do Alabama fans view Georgia right now? I mean, is it something where you're like looking up like that used to be us, or maybe like they're the new stepdad who came in and, they're not really your dad and you're pissed and you're just hanging out in your room listening to like Green Day and My Chemical Romance? Like, how's that going? What's that dynamic?
There's no one that's ever captured the essence of my entire being more than you right now, asking me about Alabama football and daddy issues, because that is just right up my alley. So that's good. No, I think the thing with Bama, if you're asking me, which I pride myself on trying to be at least rational most of the time.
You do. And I'm an Auburn fan. We're all fans of somebody, but we can be non-biased.
So the thing with like most Bama fans is I don't think that they're non-biased. I think they're very irrational. I think they're very, very entitled. I think it's some of the worst fans in the country just because of the success they've had, like paired with some of like the most arrogant people imaginable, right? You've been to the state of Alabama, obviously. You've been around Bama fans. I think when you look at Georgia, the probably the mindset is one of two things. Well, I mean, they're in the mountaintop now, and I think that's like how I feel. Kirby is the best coach in the country, in my opinion. They're doing it better than Alabama's doing it right now. They are the premier program. They are the standard. They're at the mountaintop. I don't know if you ask their fans if their fans really know they're at the mountaintop the way they behave. I really don't think they get it. Like, they are the premier program, and sometimes I think you have such a little brother attitude for 40 years or 41 years, whatever it was, in between championships that you don't really even know how to act. I think that's probably part of it. The other part of it is if you're more of an arrogant Bama fan, you take a step back. I know what happened in the Natty. I fully get it. I know they didn't play last year and what Georgia's done, but you're 2-7 against Saban since he's been there. If you're UGA, and you're 1-4 if you're Kirby Smart against like Saban with that last win coming in the Natty. I think that if like optimistically you look at if somehow they get to Atlanta, don't let Bama beat Georgia in Atlanta like they tend to always do. Because then that whole narrative changes back to what it was, which is that's still the premier program. Nick Saban's still daddy. And you're now 5-1 against Kirby, who, despite all the things I just said, glowing praise for him, you're now just 1-5 against him.
Yeah. So basically, if Georgia's Superman now, Alabama is the kryptonite, at least compared to what we've seen other teams be able to do, including TCU getting their pants pulled down in front of the whole high school at the musical last year in the national championship game. Blaine, what you got?
It's never fun. I got a question here. You always have the preseason teams that are the darlings. What was it last year? It was A&M. It was NC State. I believe Miami was up there too. So which preseason team now do you think is going to kind of match their hype? Well, that's Penn State, Florida State, Texas. If you had to put your stock in one of those teams to come and actually fulfill the achievement this year, Chris, what team would that be?
God, I forgot about NC State last year. That's such a good deep cut. I love all three teams you just mentioned, to be honest. I think that Penn State's not getting near enough love just because of the fact that they play in the same division as Ohio State and Michigan. The last one you said there is the one that I'm going to highlight.
I agree. Do it. Say it, Chris.
I'm so high on Texas because I'm so high on Sark. I think Sark is such a good play caller, and I've said this over and over and over again. I think that Texas beats Bama in week 2. Even if I'm an Alabama
I'm starting to lean that way. I'm starting to lean that way, Chris.
Quarterback situation. I don't think that Bama will have the quarterback situation figured out. And then you look at what Texas has. Sarkisian is a really, really good offensive mind. I think he's one of the top 2 offensive minds in all of college football, him and Lane Kiffin. And the way he can get guys open, the way he can scheme dudes open, and what he's able to do when he has dudes. And he has dudes in Austin for the first time in, I think, or at least more than he's had there. With Quinn Ewers, you got 5 stars everywhere on the offense. You got Jatavian Sanders at tight end. You got an offensive line that returns all 5 starters.
That's the biggest thing.
A.D. Mitchell's coming in, one of the most heralded running backs in the class, or last year's recruiting class coming in. Texas is going to be really good. Can they avoid the pitfalls of like the whole 12 game, which is kind of like a bear of a Big 12 schedule for whatever reason, it seems like every year? I'm really high on Texas.
Yeah, I'm right now, Chris. I'm going to be honest with you. Again, I wait to make predictions. I think Texas has a chance to be in the college football playoff. And I know people say, "Oh, here we go again. Texas is back." No, I haven't said Texas is going to do anything in forever. So, and again, that's the best part about this being recorded. You look up front. Sarkisian said something yesterday, David, and you guys will understand this. Number one, Quinn Ewers is going into his second full year, basically, of being the quarterback. That's when they take the biggest step. Then you have an offensive line. Sark said yesterday that finally I think we're going to be able to run the ball well enough where I can utilize the passing game the way I want to. What does that mean? Play action, play action, play action, play action. Bijan Robinson made plays on his own last year.
Yeah.
You were very young up front. You returned 5 out of 6 of your playmakers at wide receiver, including Xavier Worthy, who's 100% witch. If he was born in Salem, they would have burned his ass to death in the 1600s. You look at A.D. Mitchell coming over from Georgia. I tell you what, man, defensively, I love the Ford kid. I love what they have up front. Texas a problem. They're a problem.
Chris, one more question. Do you think is this the year for Lincoln Riley and USC to make it to the playoffs?
Listen, I think they're going to be improved basically based off his cooking solely. We saw him make a tuna yesterday on Twitter, and he's gotten better on the grill, it seems like. Or
I agree.
He was that thing in. I think that was well rare, as our good buddy Wes Blankenship put it, which was a perfect way to describe that.
Well rare.
I don't think they make the playoff. I think the Pac-12 is the second best conference top to bottom in the country this year. And I don't necessarily think it's even that super close because the Big Ten is so top heavy. The way that schedule lines up, that is not an easy schedule. I think they get 3 games in a row where you got to go to Oregon. They come back and I think they have Washington. I believe I'm spouting this off the top of my head. I probably should have researched this more before I said it out loud. Since we're being recorded, but they have a schedule that is more difficult, I think, than the last 2 years they've had. That defense was atrocious last year. I wish that they would have gotten in the playoff just because I think it could have been potentially worse. They would have given up more points to Georgia, I think, than TCU did.
I agree.
How bad that defense was. So I don't. This is the year for them.
Their last 6 games: at Notre Dame, Utah at home, at Cal, Washington at home, at Oregon, UCLA at home.
Utah, they just cannot get past those guys.
That's not fun.
Hey, speaking about the Big 12, there were some shots fired by the commish, Brett Yormark, yesterday when he said Texas and Oklahoma have not carried this conference in recruiting, which is just factually not true. But getting back to how high you are on Texas, will Texas or Oklahoma win this conference as a last farewell, or are you taking the field here?
Oh, that's a good question, man. I'm taking Texas especially because of the high praise I've already given them. The new Big 12 is basically just like grown-up Maction. It's like they've brought in Cincinnati, they brought in UCF, they brought in BYU and all these other fun teams. But let's just call a spade a spade. It's not anywhere close to the other main conferences besides maybe the ACC. I think Texas is like what you said is most important, right? They recruited better than anyone else. That is factually untrue that they haven't carried the conference in recruiting. And recruiting is what wins in college football nowadays. And again, when you pair that with, like I said, with what I think they have with Sark, I would take Texas. I think Oklahoma is as average as they were last year, is also still separated in terms of having dudes on that roster than other Big 12 teams.
Mm-hmm. Up to the Big 10.
The greatest coffee ever made for man and humans and aliens and animals, if you get down like that. All right, summer's in full swing, all right, which means barbecues, gatherings, and so much more. And you don't always have the time to brew coffee the traditional way each morning. That's why Black Rifle Coffee, that's right, I said it, they've got their ready-to-drink cans, okay? And it's perfect for people who need their coffee quickly, contains 200 milligrams of caffeine, and listen to these flavors. Come on, Jake, you can do it. Focus, determination. Vanilla Bomb, salted caramel, mocha, and my personal fave, vanilla caramel. All right, David, tell everybody your favorite flavor. It's not ready to drink. It's ready to brew, though. What is it?
Ready to brew Lava Panther.
Yeah.
Just black. Beyond Black, Silencer Smooth. But today I have the Headless Horseman's Roast. This is the pumpkin spice. Maybe a little bit more come fall.
Coming.
But it's on its way.
That's exactly right. Blanye
My new one, Flaming Drac. Oh, excuse me. Power Llama Coffee.
Well, I do want to say this, though. Black Rifle did respond to us on Twitter.
Fact.
I responded to one of the fans of the show on Twitter, one of the boosters, and said the Flaming Dragon Brew was a really good idea. Let's get it done.
If the Flaming Dragon Brew happens because one of y'all left a 5-star review on Black Rifle Coffee, let's just say there's going to be a lot of good things happening.
I need everybody to flood,
I think you could stop the
I need everybody to flood their emails with a picture of my face and saying we need a Flaming Dragon Brew.
We do need that. America needs that. All right? Black Rifle Coffee is veteran-founded. It's operated by principled men and women who honor those who protect, defend, and support our country. And with every purchase, they give back. So they're doing great things, too, off the brewing cycle as well. So save money and drink America's coffee. Go to blackriflecoffee.com. Use our promo code BOOSTER at checkout for 10% off your one-time purchase or first coffee club order. That's blackriflecoffee.com. promo code BOOSTER for 10% off. You can also find it in grocery and convenience stores, but we all know you want to go to blackriflecoffee.com and use the promo code BOOSTER for 10% off. Black Rifle Coffee, America's coffee. Flamin' Dragon Brew, let's get it done.
A question in 2 parts. Should Northwestern have fired Pat Fitzgerald, and would there be a worse replacement than Ed Orgeron?
Coach O. I just picture Coach O doing this the most like 1980s before cable television types, like just going up with an LSU jersey or old shirt and just putting like an N over it and just pretending to do Northwestern stuff. I think no, there's not a worse fit. There's not a worse fit. I don't know if he could spell Northwestern. I mean, I can barely spell it, so there's that. Should they have fired him? I will say yes for 2 reasons. And I don't know all the things that went in that locker room. You guys have been in locker rooms your whole life as I was, like all throughout high school, college, all that kind of stuff. That was never a culture that I was around. And I don't understand it. I don't understand how it seemed like every single thing was somehow like involved someone being naked or was sexual in nature. I thought it was very odd. That being said, when you send a kid off to go play college football or college sports in general, and you are sitting in someone's home with their mom and dad, recruiting them and telling them you're going to go take care of their son for the next 3, 4, 5 years, that's what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be molding young boys into men when they leave college. And when you put them in an environment that is seemingly unsafe and could be like scarring, that alone is the worst part. The main reason he should be fired, I'm not even throw all that stuff aside, even, which sounds awful, but like throw that aside. The dude was 4-20 in the last 2 years.
Went 1-11 last year. Yeah,
he went 1-11 last year. They haven't won a P5 football game. I think I saw the other day in the last
since Nebraska and Ireland.
1,000 years, or 1,000 days, not 1,000 years.
Yeah, but I mean, it's been 1,000 years of the Persian Empire.
In this day and age, there's no reason he still had a job. And I just didn't understand where that part was coming from, because it's like, dude, if you're 4-20 in the 1-11, you lost their only win was in week 0 against Nebraska.
Yeah, when
they had to come from behind. Like that was the worst team in Power 5. That's why he should have been fired at the very least. But yeah, I think he had to go. It's very odd timing though.
Very true. Chris, you have a magazine that just came out right now. Please tell everybody where they can find that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So we actually, we've been, you guys are also college football junkies, so you get it. I've been buying college football magazines since I was a kid, preview magazine and stuff like that. Finally just went and made my own with a good buddy of mine named Josh Hanchard. It's at a website called Dog Stats. You 3 get a free one. Actually, Dave and Jake, you 2 get a free one. Because the TiVo take. I'm still on over the TiVo take.
Yeah, I know, right? It's unforgivable.
You already agreed with me once today. That's all I needed.
Yeah, that's true.
Fair. No, but so go to dogstats.com. It'll be on my Twitter later today at Vern Funquist on Twitter and Instagram. Really excited about it. Put a lot of hard work into it. And yeah, so outside of Highlights magazines, this will be the second magazine I've owned.
Definitely. Well, man, I know it's going to be fantastic. You guys do a great job over there, Saturday Down South and College Football Uncensored. Obviously, anything you guys do, you do it to the max and do it really well. Chris, it's always fun, buddy. The season's right around the corner, even though it really never leaves. We appreciate you getting up with us, talking some ball, my friend.
Of course, guys. I'll see you on Nashville.
Hey, YouTube, appreciate you guys checking us out. Make sure you subscribe. We're live each weekday, 7:30 to 9 a.m. Eastern.